Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA here today with MMA Fighter Colby Thicknesse, talking about the 2022 UFC Champions. Now we'll go through each weight division and discuss who we think is going to be the champion by this time next year. What do you think, man?
I think that my predictions are going to make me look extremely smart, but it could be wrong. But I'm looking forward to. There's a lot of good guys coming up in certain divisions, which I think it's actually going to really, like, 2021 was a great year of fights, but I think 2022 is going to actually be a lot better.
So if you can put money down on this, bet the house on Colby's predictions.
Please do it. Let me know how we go.
Yeah. Okay, let's kick off straight into the flyweight division. The current champion is Brandon Moreno. Some of the notable guys: Davidson Figueiredo, Askarov, obviously Kai Kara Francis had a big win. Brandon Royval isn't too far away. What are your thoughts on the flyweight division, bro?
I think the flyweight division is super interesting with how the landscape is playing out. It's crazy to think that just like a few years ago, they were going to talk about scrapping the division. Now we have some actually insane fights. So we obviously have the Moreno and Figueiredo free coming up. That's happening. When is that one for? Early 2022, I think. Is it?
No idea, bro. Here we are showing how dumb we are.
But I honestly think that Moreno has Figue's numbers. I think Figue's probably going to end up going to bantamweight. That Askarov is impressive, but I think we might see a Moreno and Kai rematch if Kai can get through Askarov. And I think Kai's made the improvements to beat Moreno if Moreno reigns champ, which I think he will.
Yeah, man. Well, that fight's just come up between Kai Kara France and Askarov coming up. And obviously, like, being from New Zealand, the Australia region, we prefer Kai Kara France to get through. But I'm going to jump to some other people who've been picking this too. Askarov, based on his record, man, he's got a great record of 13 fights, 13 wins, is at zero losses, man, and 1 draw. So I think it's a pretty good record, and I think that he's got the all-round skills to do very well in the division. Obviously, he's nearly there already. I mean, he's number 2 flyweight. So I'm picking Askarov, man. Sorry, Kai.
It's crazy too, because I'm pretty sure he's like partially deaf or something, so he can't actually hear the corner advice when he's in there. Like, he only gets the advice when he actually goes to the corner, so he gets like no information on the fly. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw on his record too. It said that he's been a gold medalist in the Deaf Olympics or something, which I'd never heard of, honestly. But it's actually Olympics for deaf people. So yeah, and I've seen him in interviews though where he actually he talks and he listens to someone next to him. So he's not completely deaf, but he must have a percentage of deafness. He doesn't talk like someone that can't hear anything. So he must just have a percentage. Yeah. Interesting, eh?
Definitely.
Yeah. And like you said, I think Figueiredo, he probably should go up at a weight division because he doesn't look quite like himself in the last few fights. And I think he's obviously lost the edge, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think just the big cuts, like I think he walks into the cage around 70 kgs fighting up flyweight, and that's like a perfect weight to walk in. He walks in bigger than some of the bantamweight sort of thing. So I think if he does lose the next one, I think it will make that jump up.
All right, bro, let's jump to the next bantamweight. So where Figueiredo might be in the future. The champion at the moment is Aljamain Sterling. He got there on a great acting ability. Very proud of him.
Undefeated, undisputed.
Exactly. And a few of the notable guys in the top few, Peter Yan, obviously, waiting to get that chance to redeem that fight, redeem that illegal knee. TJ Dillashaw is not far behind, although he's had pretty bad injury recently. Jose Aldo, Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font, a lot of killers there. What are your thoughts on that one, man? Bantamweight.
I think it's a stacked division. I think Jan is going to get the belt off of Sterling in the rematch. And then I think it's pretty much going to come down to who beats Jan. I don't see Dillashaw getting past Jan, to be honest. Sandhagen couldn't. Anyone outside of the top 5, I don't see posing issues. I feel like the Jose Aldo rematch could be interesting, but I think it's just hard because Aldo, I want to see Aldo win the belt and get it, but I just don't think he can. I think Jan's just a bad stylistic matchup for him, whereas Aldo finds it hard in his fight. He won the first 2 rounds and Jan just crumbled him in the last 3 rounds sort of thing. And I think if Aldo, because he's so established with his game plan and how it works, he's able to do that to certain people, but his style doesn't really match up to convincingly against Jan. Like, I was hoping that he could, I hope he still gets a rematch and he might prove me wrong, but I think Jan's going to beat Stellan. I think Jan's going to remain the champ.
Yeah, man, it's pretty tight top group of guys there. Hey, when I have a think about, I think Peter Yan as well, but then you think any of those guys on a given day could beat each other because they're just so tight. I would like to see emotionally, I'd like to see Corey Sandhagen get up there because I think he's a good guy, intellectual, and I like his style. I like to see him win, but I think Peter Yan's going to be there for a while. One dark horse, which I don't know if anyone's considered, was an Australian Colby Thicknesse, might just sneak up into the division and take out Peter Yan, but we'll wait and see. Maybe 2023.
2023, 2025, who knows? We'll give us some time.
All right, man. So jumping onto the next division, featherweight. I can't even think which person you might pick to be the champion at the end of 2022. But at the moment, it's Alexander Volkanovski.
Express, baby.
Exactly. Alexander Volkanovski, Colby's teammate, is the champ. Max Holloway, obviously, not far behind him. Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, Chan Sung Jung, Calvin Kattar, Josh Emmett. Another row of killers, man. Another pretty tight sort of group. Like, they're all very, very good, man. What do you think about that one? Who do you pick?
Obviously, I'm going to be biased towards Volko, but I do think even outside you got guys on the outskirts, like you got Giga at 8, then you got guys like Musma Elamov at 13. He's undefeated. So you got good guys there too. Arnold Allen's at number 7. I don't think, obviously, we pretty much can guarantee that Max and Volk will go again. I think Volko's proved he can get through Max. And then we got Giga and Kattar. So I think if Giga gets up, he might be in for the next shot sort of thing. So I think we probably could see like a Giga versus Volk match down the line. But I also think maybe Arnold Allen could sneak in there maybe at the end of the year. But also Yair looked good as well against Max. So he's definitely made the improvements. And there's always the bit factor. Like, who knows? Zabit says he's healthy. I think he's eyeing off a 2022 return. So who knows? That could be pushed. So there are a few potential matchups that I see playing out. But I think we've just seen, even biased as it is, I still think we've seen Volko. He can do the whole game. He can sort of survive this grounds against the best jiu-jitsu guys. He can out technical work Aldo. He can outstrike Holloway. He can drop 2 rounds against he can outpoint sort of Aldo, then he can drop 2 rounds against someone like Holloway, and then come back into Holloway's strongest round and overtakes a fight and stuff like that. So he just sort of has that complete game plan. So I do see a cool few stylistic matchups playing out for the weight, but I don't see anybody beating him with bias, obviously.
Yeah, man. I think it's not that biased an opinion, to be honest. I think Volk's shown in his last fight how durable he is, how good he is, how he's always improving. And, he's our champion. So we want to see him there at the end of 2022 as well. So on to the next one, bro. Lightweight Killers Row, man. Obviously, some very competitive guys there. We've got the current champ, Charles Oliveira, followed by Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Benil Dariush, Islam Makhachev, Michael Chandler. The list goes on, man. These guys are killers. What are your thoughts in that division?
I think that is probably one of the most stacked divisions in the UFC. Even like that, like you got even McGregor at 9. You got a lot of good guys there, sort of thing. I think this is a sort of outlier pick. I'm thinking maybe Dariush can get it done. I think if Dariush can get through Islam, I think Dariush has a good sort of chance against the top guys like Oliveira, Gaethje, and stuff like that. So, however, Oliveira is the current champ. Then say if we get someone like Islam who goes through Dariush, it will be Islam versus Oliveira, and that'd be an interesting matchup to play out. Also, you pretty much can guarantee that Oliveira will fight Gaethje as well. And Gaethje has improved a lot under Trevor Whitman and that, but I still think, I don't think as much now, but I still think Charles Oliveira could still surprise people. Like, people think, even though he does get clipped in that, he's a lot more durable in that. So I think Oliveira, I'm going to say that I think Oliveira can remain champion, but also on that same token, I wouldn't be surprised if Dariush ends up with a belt next year as well.
Yeah, man. My favorite fighters in the division, again, emotionally, Dan Hooker, Brad Riddell. I'd love to see him get up there somehow, but these guys are currently coming off losses, so they're not really in the picture. I think just by association with Khabib, most of us are thinking Makhachev has a good chance of making that title run sometime during this year. I'd love to see Dariush take the win too, but I think Makhachev's a bit strong in my mind, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Makhachev's going to get up there somehow, but let's see, man. It's these guys. It's a killer's row, really. Any of them again could win the title, and you wouldn't be that surprised because they're all killers.
Yeah, I will say though, if Makhachev does get through there, I think we're gonna see him remain champion for a long time. I think it will be hard if he does just continue his current sort of trajectory and he does sort of go through Dariush and then goes through Oliveira or Gaethje, whoever gets it like that. I don't see really many people challenge him sort of thing. Maybe Armen Tarukian, because they did have that good first fight sort of thing. Maybe someone like, obviously, like you're hoping for like the Riddells and everything like that. But I think if Islam does get it done in that, he's going to probably be a hard champ to beat.
Yeah, man. So jumping on to welterweight, the current champion, Kamaru Usman, followed by Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, Leon Edwards, Vincente Luque, Belal Muhammad, George Masvidal, another group of killers, man. Like every division's kind of stacked as what we've talked about so far. What do you think, man?
Oh man, like you said, especially Bilal's last performance against someone like Thompson, which was impressive. So that, pardon me, adds some sort of new sort of like spice to their division. But as we see, Usman's so complete. Like Usman's got a TKO over number 1, 2. He's got a victory over number 3. Hasn't fought 4. He's got 2 victories over number 6. Like he's been through most of these guys. I think everybody thinks maybe Khamzat Chimaev at number 11 could possibly see the threat, but I can see Khamzat get into the belt, honestly. However, I don't think he can beat Usman. I'm pretty confident in saying that I think Usman's going to remain champion pretty dominantly too throughout the rest of 2022.
Yeah, man, I got the same sort of opinion. Obviously, for a lot of fans, Khamzat Chimaev is like a kind of interesting new face, bold character, man. We like these characters to come into the sport, man. I like to see him get up there and talking about smashing people and stuff. I love to see it. Also, we've got a couple of our Kiwi and Australian guys, Jack Della, Blood Diamond, obviously in the future. Let's hope they can get up there, but they're both debuting in the next couple of months. I'd pick a Kamaru as well, man. I just think he's a dominant champion. It's going to be hard for anyone to beat him. It's yet to be seen about Khamzat, whether he's got the skills to really compete at that level. We got to wait and see. But yeah, I'm picking Kamaru as well, man. Looking up the next division, middleweight. Again, I guess we'd probably be a little bit biased, probably in a way, but Israel Adesanya, the champ, followed by Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vettori, Jared Cannonier, Derek Brunson, Paulo Costa, Jack Hermanson, another group of killers. Yeah, what are your thoughts, bro? Like, who's going to get that one?
Man, I think it's this belt. I think for the next couple of years, if it changes in hands, it's only purely going to change hands between Robert and Izzy. Like, I think them two are just so separated from a pack with like skill level, good teams, anything. You don't really have many guys on the outskirts that you can see creeping in, like Darren Till's had his shots. He just can't seem to put it together. He's still young and everything like that. But then you look at like Vettori, Cannonier, Brunson, Robin, Izzy's, they've beat pretty much, them two together pretty much cleaned out the rest of the division. So it's pretty much coming down to Robin, Izzy. And I think even though Rob has improved drastically since the first fight, and I think his game plan will be a lot more MMA well-rounded, where you saw against Gastelum that, where he implemented his takedowns a lot around that. I still think Izzy's just too smart, but I think he's going to remain the champ.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think you could say he could beat Rob and then potentially, retire from that division or move up and move down again, etc. So, yeah, let's see what happens with that. That seems like the only one that's kind of locked in a bit more than the others.
For sure.
And jumping up to light heavyweight, man, I would say for me, this division is the one that's kind of the most volatile. When you look at the guys up there, there's no real, for me, personally, there's no real standout. I mean, you look down the list, Glover Teixeira, Jan Blachowicz, Yuri Prochazka, I don't know how you say that name, Alexander Rakic, Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, Ankalaev. These guys are, all very good. They can all potentially take the title. What do you think, man?
optimistically, I wish Glover could just defend a couple of times, but I don't think that will happen, sort of thing. I think everybody's talking about Jiri fighting Glover. I think that's actually a favorable matchup for Glover because we saw Reyes initiate with grapple exchanges, everything like that. And I think Glover does have the more advantage to exploit, sort of thing. Like, he's been around, he has that veteran savviness. Like, even though Yuri is flashy, he's an orthodox and everything, we've seen how durable Glover and everything is. So I think he can sort of secure that fight. But then you get guys like Nkalaev and stuff like that. But I honestly think Blachowicz will get back to the belt, sort of thing. I think even though Glover did sort of pretty much run through him, I just think he didn't show up properly, sort of thing. I think it was just one of them things where anybody can beat anyone during the night. But I think Blachowicz is a really good champ, and I think he's going to get back to the belt.
Yeah, man. And one of the fighters in that division I'd love to see get up to that top echelon is Jimmy Crute, man. He's had a couple of bad fights that haven't gone his way, but I just see he's got so much talent. I really think that he's the type of guy, being a young guy that has in the current crop, I think he could potentially hurt any of those guys in a fight. And obviously they're all dangerous, but I think he's got the skills and that to get up there. Maybe just needs some luck to get in that echelon to have a go. I'm not saying he'll be champion by the end of the year, but I think he can mix it with these guys. What do you think, man?
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. Like, he's at 14 at the moment, but like you say, the light heavyweight, the divisions and rankings can shake so much. He gets 2 or 3 good wins. He's back in top 5, top 3 contention. Then he might go 3-0 this year. Then 2023, we're talking about early Jimmy Crute's got a title eliminator fight and stuff like that. So like you said, he's young. I don't think 2022 he can get it done, but I think he can set himself up for a good 2023, 2024 sort of thing.
That's it, man. And for the champion, I kind of, by the end of 2022, I know it's a big call, but I reckon Izzy should clear out his division and jump up again and have a stab. And I think he's got the potential to do it, to challenge himself and, and move up that level. Obviously, fighting bigger guys is much more of a challenge for him in the grapple, especially in the stand-up. I think he can compete with any of these guys, but he can potentially get hurt by any of these guys as well. But I'm just going to throw it out there and say Izzy for light heavyweight champ by the end of next year as he clears out his own division and moves up.
Yeah, that's a good outlier pick, actually. Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if someone like Izzy, if there's someone who can do that, it's definitely him.
Yeah, man. Next one, we've got heavyweight. Obviously, big fight coming up. Francis Ngannou champion against Cyril Gane. Stipe is on the back of that. Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov, Rosenstrike. These guys just waiting to have a stab at it. What do you think, man, for the big boys?
Oh, man, I think it all is going to depend on how Ngannou and Gane plays out, sort of thing. Because it seems Gane, what he's done to pretty much everybody else, like the way he's like his kickboxing pedigree, like the way he moves and everything like that, the way he mixes up with like the takedowns, even his submission threats, and that is very well rounded. It's hard. I personally think Francis can clip him and get it done like that. And I think if that happens, I think Francis is just going to be the sort of Mike Tyson heavyweight guy over the next 2 years, where people are pretty much just going to pay to watch Francis sort of starch people and that. I think down the list, we got guys like Tom Aspinall, he's still young in his career. He's pretty clean. I think down the line, he can get up there. Obviously, we got Ty, who's on a 3-fight victory, and he's been looking a lot better. So we have guys like him. But for right now, I think Francis is going to stay the champ throughout. But if Gane gets him done, I think it's going to be a roles reversed. I think Gane's going to stay champion. Then I think that will sort of change the stylistic matchup, because then it's going to be hard. You're going to need more of a wrestler or someone like that to actually come up and put Gane away.
How good would it be to see Shui Vasa get up to the top level, man?
I'd love to see. And just, mate, that'd be unreal.
I'd love to see him fight for a title. That would be amazing, man. And he's got the potential to starch Ngannou himself, actually. So I don't know. Let's see how he rolls in this year as well. I got an outlier on that one too. I'm thinking Jon Jones. He's been gone for so long. He's been pumping his body up. I want to see him come back and take Ngannou out on skills alone. You're watching Ngannou, man. He's throwing these shitty punches. When he fought Rosenstrike, I just can't get out of my head how he's like flailing and missing and throwing back fists and stuff. Just I know I don't like the lack of skill. I like the power. He's incredible. The lack of skill obviously is improving as well. But I want to see the guys that are, highly skilled win. And I like to see Jones come in bigger than he was before and take it again, man. But this time as heavyweight. Thoughts?
Fourth, I just think fuck Jon Jones. I think he's a cheater. I think he's one of the most skilled athletes in the world, but for how much shit he's done, like inside and outside of the cage, I just can't root for that bloke. Like I hope Francis just stiffs him into a coma.
There's a chance of that, bro. There's a chance.
Or hopefully someone like Francis just who's a good kicker, like Derek Lewis, like kicks his skinny legs or something like that and just snaps it in half.
I didn't think of that actually, but yeah. Speaking of that, Lewis to Ivasha will be a fucking sick fight, eh? Those two fucking killers. I'd love to see that.
The problem with heavyweight though is you think like, oh, Lewis and Garner, it's going to be a sick fight, and it's probably one of the worst fights ever, sort of thing. So,
yeah.
On paper honestly, they sound good, but sometimes they don't deliver.
I honestly think that really was the worst fight I've ever seen. And I've watched so many different fights from different codes over the years, man. So it's saying something.
Yeah, it definitely is.
All right, man. Jumping on to the ladies' strawweight division. Rose Namajunas, Thug Rose. She's the winner at the moment. Weili Zhang, Carla Esparza, Marina Rodriguez, to name a few, Mackenzie Dern on the back end there. What are your thoughts on that group of ladies?
I think it is a interesting division. Pretty much only really with the top three. So Rose, Weili, and Carla, I think. Tisha Torres is looking good, but there's not like Mackenzie Dern has good submissions, but she hasn't really been able to put it all together in that. And there's no one really in the outskirts I see getting there. I think Rose and Carla are going to fight. I think Rose get it done, and I think Weili might work her way back up. But I think Rose is just too skillful, too well-rounded for that division. I think Rose is probably going to comfortably stay champ. Not comfortably, but like I'm thinking she's going to pretty well stay champ throughout 2022.
Yeah, man. Like in the past, Rose seemed a little bit unstable. Maybe some psychological effects to her fighting, I think. But she's definitely got the skill sets and everything to remain champion. And she's shown that strength of character in the last few fights. That I think she could be the champion as well. So I'm thinking Rose. I'd kind of like Zhang Weili a little bit, being from I'm living in China, kind of getting the wife's influence. I think I wouldn't mind seeing her get up as well, but I think it's going to be Rose for the near future and 2020.
One thing is Zhang Weili is young, so maybe not 2022, but like 2 or 3 years down the track when she does get that more experience and everything like that, because shows massive improvement. So I don't think maybe next year she might get it done, but in the following year or year after that, I think she probably will get the belt.
Yeah, man. Jumping on to the next, we've got our women's flyweight, the champion Valentina Shevchenko, followed by Andrade, Caitlin Chukagian, Lauren Murphy, Jennifer Meyer. For me, Valentina Shevchenko is kind of the greatest in every division for me. That's just my thinking, that even as a woman in the group of men and women all together, I just like her skill set the most, and her work ethic and everything. I'd say for me, she's the most well-rounded fighter in the UFC. I don't know if I'm stupid in saying that, but that's what I feel. What do you think on that division?
I think just like you said, Valentine, like I don't see anybody getting there. Obviously, we got Casey Neal at 15. I think probably 2 or 3 years down the line, she can get up in that top sort of echelon there. But yeah, right now you just look at like number one against Jessica Andrade, and Valentina used Jessica's game against her, sort of thing, and absolutely bashed her. Like we saw what she's done to Lauren Murphy. Like it's just, yeah, Valentina, she's just on that another level. It's pretty much like, unless she slips and has a terrible night and someone gets her, I think if Valentina stays on, I don't think, there's many people in that division that are going to take it. Well, I don't think there's anyone who can take the belt off her next year.
Yeah, man. So jumping next to women's bantamweight, obviously the recent win by Juliana Pena. People already doubting her. People are already saying that in the rematch, Nunes might get her, that she was, getting complacent. What are your thoughts on that?
I think firstly that Pena had a really smart game plan against Nunes, because as you see, Nunes likes to bully people. She likes to try and put him away and stuff like that. And that Pena fight against Nunes was a perfect example of what happened with Nunes' other loss against Kat Zingano, when Nunes came out super strong. She couldn't put Kat away and she ended up getting gassed and then just stopped again. So I think Pena surprised a lot of people. She definitely surprised me as well. Obviously, I had some sort of idea because we had guys like Brady Heinstein from Spokane and everything that trained with her and everything. So we sort of knew the style, like yes or that. We knew the style of sort of how they like to use a wall work and everything and how it plays well against Amanda. I thought she would give her more trouble, not more trouble because obviously she beat her, but I thought she would give her trouble. I didn't actually think she was going to get it done. She got it done. And I think now it's going to sort of, Pena's hard, but the thing is, Amanda is just such a hard sort of matchup against. Like, I know she had this little skid here, but I do think if there's anyone who can, I think Amanda probably going to bounce back, and I think she'll get it back in the rematch. And then realistically, here we got Holly Holm. Amanda's beat her. Irene Dana, I think it is, yeah, Aspinall, and then there's no one really there who looks like they're going to make a contention. So I think it's pretty much going to come down to the Pena Nunes rematch, and I think Nunes will get it done again in the rematch.
Yeah, I've got Nunes down as well, but I heard some other people talking about the same thing that you mentioned about Nunes, that she's got a blueprint. If you pressure and you bully her back, then eventually she gives up. That's what people say, you know, that in some of her early fights, she was the same. And that's what Pena was also saying, that she was going to, you know, take her back to that time that she gives up. And she looked like she did give up a bit, but it's easy to say from the outside. The other one that could happen also is Shevchenko had a good fight in the past with Nunes as well. And I think she's still got the potential to jump up there. I'd say I'm keeping Nunes there, but I still think Shevchenko might have a chance of jumping up weight divisions too, or challenging a man for the men's title. I don't know. She's good enough. She's good enough to beat everyone.
We're just getting like Valentina versus like Cejudo or someone.
Yeah, that's right. They talked about it, right?
Yeah, we'll get like Valentina versus what's his name? Tension.
Yeah.
And like Ryzen or something like that. One of them fights, that'd be sick.
True. Another thing that was kind of funny was that Joey Diaz talking about Juliet and Pena. He was recommending that a bet on her in the beginning because he's saying you'd never mess with a Latino woman, and he said
I remember seeing that clip actually. Yeah.
So he actually bet on it. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool, man. And he got the win on his betting odds. Yeah. Next one, women's featherweight. The current one is Amanda Nunes. They don't even have anyone listed below her. My favorite of that division is actually Cyborg, and I love to see Cyborg fight Nunes again. Even though I think she'd probably lose, I just like to see her get a chance to fight at the top level again. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think it's just women's. Like you said, there's no one on the rankings there. I think Bellator is doing a better job with the women's. They don't have the same caliber. Bellator is actually doing a better job with the women's featherweight division. So I've got a teammate actually, Arlene Blanco, who I actually would love to see. She's sort of trying to make her sort of last run for it up for the rankings. So I'd love to see her sort of. I don't think they do a cross promotion like that, but I think that Amanda is at featherweight. She's probably best to beat, but Cyborg's currently in Bellator. So I wouldn't mind seeing like Arlene get him through Cyborg. They can have a rematch, and then maybe something could happen there with Nunes or something like that. But as for UFC rankings, like as you know, there's no one in there, and I think whoever they bring in, Amanda's probably going to handle them pretty comfortably, I think.
Yeah, man. And out of these, away from these rankings, man, who's the top 3 sort of athletes that you have interest in? Doesn't have to be necessarily champions. Who are the most interesting athletes for you that you kind of follow amongst the group that you'll be watching in 2022?
2022, yeah. So first one for me is Tom Aspinall. So I think he's very quick. He's very well-spoken. He's got a good fight IQ. Like, he's not trying to, even with his trajectory of where his career is going, he's not trying to rush anything like that. So I think that's sort of really good to see. Bantamweight, I think it's going to be good to see how Sean O'Malley can come up and rise throughout the ranking sort of thing. I think it's going to be cool to see when we finally see him fight the sort of top level guys, and sort of how he can put it together against the guys. We've seen what he can do against guys who aren't at, let's just be honest, his same level sort of thing. But once he gets to these top 10, top 5 guys, I think it's going to be cool to see. And I also want to, I think everybody's interested. I know you said one, but two more. It's sort of combined, but it's like the Hamzat Islam's like everybody just wants to see where their career trajectory is going to go. Like, what's the ceiling for these two? They're pretty much two of the most like hyped guys at the moment, and so I just want to see where they're ceiling at. Like, is it going to be that story where they run for everyone, they get to the belt, or are they going to suffer roadblocks and that? So you said three, but there's four I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, man, I'm along the same lines. Like Sean O'Malley, man, I just like his style, and his brings a bit of interest to the division. A lot of people want to see him lose. I think he's a pretty cool guy. I'd like to see him do well. I like the way he does a lot of finishes, flashy fighter. I'm interested to see when he finally gets exposed, like people think he's going to get exposed, because that hasn't happened yet. Paddy Pimblett, man, I like the guy too. He's got a lot of hype. Yeah. I can't wait to see him fight Cowboy, and I can't wait to see how he goes. And obviously comes up, man. We're all waiting to see, like, can this guy continue the run? Can he smash everyone like he is? Mm-hmm. What about the local front, man, like New Zealand, Australia? Any key guys you're watching there?
Yeah, I want to see, obviously, Blood Diamond is, I think anyone should just watch out for his fight. Then you got guys like Jack Della, you got obviously Casey O'Neill, who's just cracked the top 15, and he's just got like all the standout guys. Like you got your Rob Whitakers, your Volkos, your Jimmy Crutes. Like it's good to see there's guys at the top level now putting it together, and there's guys that have come up. So like it's good to see like Australia and New Zealand martial arts, like they're not just like at the start. Pretty much we only had Rob Whitaker as the champ, then we had one or two guys at the outskirts. So now we got like two champs. We got guys contending sort of thing. You got guys in the top 15 pound for pound. You got people coming up on the outskirts making debuts and that. So I think it's gonna be an interesting year.
Yeah, man. I can't wait for Jack Della Maddalena and Blood Diamond to have their debuts in the next 2 months. Yeah, and I also wouldn't mind seeing Shane Young, the Maori Warrior, get up there and have a good run as well this year. And then on the back end as well, we've got a few good guys still coming through the rankings. I'd like to see have a stab at the UFC stage, at least at the contender. Jack Jenkins and Stephen Erceg. I'd like to see these guys step up and have a stab at the top as well.
Yeah, I think Stephen's definitely, like, he's the best flyweight in the country, no doubt. So he's definitely a guy who they're not going to put in the UFC. Like, we all know, like, flyweight's not the stacked division. Not to say it's not the most stacked. It's not the stacked full of competitors sort of thing. So they're always trying to get new people in there. So it'd be great to have Kai and Stephen there. Like you said, yeah, Jack Jenkins in there. There's other people like Josh Kuhn, who's a lightweight, I think he's still a bit earlier on his professional career, but every single fight he's starched everybody in like under a minute. Like it's fucking ridiculous. So he's another guy who's just like on the local scene where like I wonder where this guy's sort of ceiling is.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Josh Kuhn's killing it, man. Jesus Christ. I watched his last fight. It's so fast. Just bashes everyone, man.
Yeah, definitely. Then you got guys like Malaki, Kulabau. Like Malaki's coming off some good wins. Kulabau's coming off good wins. So it's like Australia and New Zealand, like I think 2022, like 2021 was a good year for everything, but I think 2022 is going to like really start to showcase. Like it's not like for outliers. Like we've got a good set of talent guys, and it's just going to keep coming, and it's just going to keep growing, and going to start taking over more divisions than that.
Yeah, man. Malaki's actually from the same school as me, man. I didn't mention it, but it sort of goes without saying that I can't wait to see him fight again. And I'm just hanging. He actually just posted some things of a contract being signed, and there was something on the news back home saying that he's got a contract. So I think it was for March. So waiting to see what the announcement is for him, man. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, I know Josh is in March too, so I'm hoping they all get on the same card. It'll be fucking sick.
Yeah, awesome, bro. All right, man. Thanks for your time again, and chat again soon.
No worries. Thanks for having me, bro.